How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. Now today I'm going to have a chat about something that when I looked into it was quite beguiling and confusing. So it took me quite a bit of effort to get to the bottom of it in order to be able to platform my understanding of it to you. So if you watch my videos regularly and you haven't subscribed, please do so. That'd be great. And you're free to share my videos wherever you want, Facebook groups, wherever you like. So what we're looking at today is the Bofors 75mm mountain gun L20 in Chinese service. Now, as you know, I'm a wargamer, and I do this free channel mainly for wargamers and people who like a bit of historical obscurity, and especially for people who like to learn as much as they can about the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. Now, so the 75mm mountain gun, Bofors mountain gun, it was one of those subjects that I thought, oh, this will be a doddle Adam. You know quite a bit about this gun, and it turned out that I knew quite a bit of nothing about this gun, and it's quite an intricate or a complex subject on the face of it, but I think I got to the bottom of it, and you can judge and let me know. Okay, so we'll start at the beginning. In 1916, Sweden passed a law prohibiting foreign companies from owning more than 20% of stock in Swedish businesses. This, however, did not stop German company Krupp from owning nearly 31% of Bofors by 1920. You see, the Treaty of Versailles put lots of restrictions on German arms makers, and they were trying to sidestep these legal restrictions even as the ink on the treaty was still wet. Both companies, both Siderius and Krupp, had new designs on the drawing boards, designs that were influenced by their experience of manufacturing and war and World War One. And they weren't about let international laws stop them making these guns and the profit from them. Some things never change, do they? I mean, it's still the same game for arms makers, and it probably always will be. Krupp in particular had a very promising 75mm mountain gun on the drawing board, and with the prospect of foreign currency flooding in from exports of the new Bofors mountain gun, it's more than likely that the Swedish government just turned a blind eye to Bofors being 30% owned by Krupp. Now, when Bofors got the contract and just decided to put the gun into production, they had to do a lot of upgrading to their factory in order to build what was going to be for them their first mountain gun. And funnily enough, because the gun was either horse-towed or broken down to be carried by 8 mules, in 8 mule loads, they had to open a saddlery. And because, the gun being each unique example, there's no standardized pack mountings for mules. Each gun's got its individual mounting. So, that would have took quite a bit of brain work. And luckily enough, when I went for this video, I did find pictures of Turkish guns that were mule mounted. So now it's going to get complicated. Now, between 1923 and 1934, Bofors would produce 3 different models of the 75mm mountain gun, and I'm going to show you what they are here. Okay. The first mountain gun was the Bofors L20. and it had a barrel length of 1.5 meters. The second Bofors, and I can't discern pictures of it because the barrel's 1.6 meters. And then the L26, and the barrel is it's the L20 with a 1.5 meter barrel, the L22 with a 1.6 meter barrel, and the L24 with a 1.8 meter barrel. Okay, now it's going to get confusing, bear with me. So this is the model 1934, and many authors would tell us that this gun was in service with the Chinese. This gun, hang on, I'm getting a bit confused myself. So they produced three different models, okay, and the guns were, the first buyers in 1923 was Turkey, and the Turkish bought 28. Sorry, the Turkish bought 184 of these guns in 1932. So it gets confusing because this is a picture of a Bofors 75mm captured by the Japanese in Java. This is a field gun purported by a lot of authors to be in use by the KNIL in Java. The Model 94 differs from the L24 differs from the other previous versions by the tail, the curved tail, the gun tail trail. The other Bofors, as you can see, do not have it. Now, it's more than likely that Bofors, see, it gets confusing because this is a curved barrel gun, is a curved gun shield, and if we look at most of the pictures of KNIL, they are with straight gun shields. So it was difficult to me. Now, bearing in mind, my book King Jan by Leland Ness and Shih says it's the L20, but I never take anything just from books. And because in Chinese service there were guns with the curved shield and guns with a straighter shield, an angled shield, I felt perhaps that, and as I said, and then other authors telling that they're both as 75mm of the third type was also in service in China, I felt that I couldn't just trust Ness. So I started to dig into it. And funnily enough, what I found out was that between 1923 and 1934, Bofors made three types, as I said. Now, the first users, according to the books, was the KNIL, the Dutch, and they bought 28 of them in 1923 for service in Dutch East Indies. Now, we'll get back to that order from Turkey. Turkey ordered 184 of these guns in 1923. And they were being delivered all the way up until 1930, to be delivered all the way up until 1932. Now, in 1931, the Chinese had trialled the Bofors gun as their new mountain gun of service within the new divisions. And there were to be 12, or some authors say 8, some authors say 12, So that's 2 or 3 4-gun batteries of 75mm Bofors guns to each Germanized division. But that was rarely achieved, and most of the Bofors guns served in independent artillery regiments. As I said, these guns are from Battlefield 3D. Very, very nice guns. Very nice guns. And the crew are from 122nd Miniatures. So let's go back to the guns themselves. So the L22 with the 1.6mm barrel, Persia bought 120 of these as improved versions in 1936. But she only ever got delivery of 152 before World War II started, and then she took the other 46 delivered after the war. But Turkey is the one here, because although she ordered 184 guns in 1923, she didn't have the cash to pay for them. So she couldn't afford 72 guns. And 72 guns is exactly how many the Chinese army bought between 1931 and 33. So I have to thank Stellan Bojerud of Stockholm for that information, because he was the only one that shed light on it, and the numbers added up. And then I went to look at the Turkish guns to see if I could find images of them. And as I said, I could only find images of the Turkish gun mounted on the back, in packs mounted on the back of mules. But what I could deduct from that is the Turkish also had curved and straight barrels and straight gun shields, curved and angled gun shield, both type of shields. So I don't know why there is differences in the gun shields, but it doesn't help you identify the gun. The only thing that helps you identify the gun is the length of the barrels, or in the third model, the M1934, the definite curvature of the gun trail. Now, as I said, China received these in 1933. They soldiered on until 1945. China had also bought plant and machinery and tooling to make the ammunition for these guns. These guns relied on a 3-part charge. Weighed just over 1,000 kilos, had a range of 9.3 kilometers, and the Chinese loved them. In service with many, many countries in the world, but I'm not going to get into that because I'd have to start looking at the pictures again and seeing which country had what gun, because these guns have got confused over the pass of time as to who had what, where, and when. I hope you like that. I hope you like that, and you should press like. But also, let's get back to their combat service. Now, these guns served in the Battle of Shanghai in 1937, and many were lost there by counter battery fire and air attack. As I said, during the Battle of Shanghai, the anti-aircraft guns were always protecting the artillery, and it wasn't long before the Japanese managed to plot out Chinese artillery positions just from the positions of the anti-aircraft guns. So many were lost in the Battle of Shanghai. They were in service with Y-Force later in the war, and if you want to field them as Y-Force, you can field a regiment of an independent artillery regiment for rapid fire. Would be, well, it gets complicated, but for rapid fire, that's your regiment. But if you want to field it, you have to throw a dice. Odds, you get that and that. Evens, you get the 2 Bofors, or whatever way you want to do it, because you can't field all 3 at once because they're based on 4-gun batteries. So you can only field 2 at once for a game of rapid fire. Hope you liked that. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me think what else I have to say on that. because I may as well say it. No, nobody else will. Um, yeah, so because Turkey couldn't pay for the last 72, and China was always the bottom line for the Chinese government was always price, and that's what makes me think that yes, Ness, you are right. They got the L20s. Elliot Ness, you are right. They got the L20s. Uh, Leland Ness, you are right. They got the L20s, not the L22s, not the L24s, and it doesn't make any difference if they've got angled or curved gun shields because they both served in China. All right, thanks very much for that. See ya.